In my opinion, this is the worst spell in the game. It's slow, it has limited range, and most importantly, it has the accuracy of a stormtrooper. Tibia summons is very difficult to use in general and probably on the same difficulty as the Thorn sorceries. Or maybe I'm just suck at using it. So, let's see if I can beat Elden Ring with Tibia summons. Here are the rules. Number 1. Tibia summons only. I can only deal damage with Tibia summon spell. Anything else is not allowed, except the staff bonking. Yeah, I'm allowed to hit enemies with my staff. And the last one, Rosus X is allowed, but only at the beginning of the game. I will explain this later on. This is by far my toughest challenge, but also the most fun I had as well. So I hope this will be entertaining enough for you guys to watch. These spells require some intelligence and faith, and that's why I picked Astrologer as my starting class. I only did a little bit of research when starting this challenge, so I kinda forgot that I have to kill Tibia Marina to get this spell. So this is when Rosus Eggs come to play. Rosus Eggs has a unique ability called Rosus Summons. It's basically the same thing as Tibia Summons, but it just came out from a weapon and I decided to get this weapon to kill the Tibia Marina. Got the Stone Sword key because we're gonna need it, and finally reached the Black Knife Catacombs, where the weapon's located. Also got Radagon Sword Seal as well to boost my stats, especially strength. I don't actually need it, but it's for Rosus X requirement and probably gonna get rid of it after I beat the boat lady. Also guys, I apologize for the audio issue because for some reason, the in-game audio didn't get recorded, so yeah, it will be like this for the next 5 bosses I think. Everything is set and I can step to Altus Plateau to push the old lady off her boat. Okay, I have to get used to this weapon for a moment. I'm not allowed to attack her normally and only allowed to use the weapon skill, because that's the one that summons the skeletons, which is not that bad, but it's not great either. Took me some time because those skeletons are annoying, but I finally beat her. Okay, so I can get rid of this weapon and Tibia Summons is in my possession, but unfortunately, I still have to level up my stats to reach the requirements. I went down to Siovra River to get the Marika Scar Seal. This will replace Radagon Sword Seal because I need to boost my intelligence and faith so I can grind less runes. I haven't upgraded my staff, but let's test it out before gathering some smithing stones. By testing out, I mean fighting Margit. Sure, I can get that first hit, but I need to find a saver window to cast the spell. One thing that applies to every spell, as soon as you cast the spell, it will trigger the boss to do something. Whether it's dodging or charging towards you, and in Margit's case, he usually starts running towards me. I mean, sometimes he throws some daggers, but most of the time, he just ran to my direction, which makes the Tibia summons miss. Right after casting the spell, I have to wait for around 1 second for the skeletons to swing their sword. That 1 second is enough for Margit to get away from them. I died once in this fight, but the second time I fought Margit, I found a small window to safely cast the spell. It's best to land counterattacks like most of the bosses in Elden Ring, but for early bosses like Margit, sometimes I can land a few hits while he's idling. Tibia Summons is not a complete trash when actually using it, but definitely need more precise timing to actually deal damage. Also, the damage was quite okay though for a default staff. When he's airborne, it's the best time to cast, but I have to maintain the range a little bit or I'll get hit. It only took me 2 tries to beat Margit, surprisingly, and this makes me a bit more confident with the spell. Was thinking on upgrading my staff, but maybe it's still powerful enough to beat Godric, so I speedran the entire Stormveil castle and beat Godric the Golden Order. As expected, Godric wasn't that hard and he's very generous on giving me a lot of time to cast a spell. I think it's a huge window when he does the Stormcaller move, but for some reason the skeletons didn't hit him enough. Compared to Margit, the damage on Godric wasn't that big, but I prepared enough flash to beat him entirely. Second phase also not that difficult, as long as I can dodge all of his fire attacks, it'll be just fine. I almost forgot, but Godric can swing his axe once and followed by the Dragon Head attack. It's actually a huge window for Tibia summons. I didn't realize that until his second phase. Didn't take me long to beat Godric. I might be able to beat the game with Tibia summons after all. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. It's time for an upgrade. Maybe not with smithing stones, but meteorite staff might work better for now. It's specifically for gravity spells, but it has an S tier scaling on intelligence, so it should work just fine with Tibia summons. Also doing the Verse quest as usual, and this made me realize that Tibia summons is very ineffective in PvP or fighting NPCs like this. This made me worry about Gideon, if I ever gonna make that far, actually. Also, a disclaimer, even though I farmed some runes, I never overleveled my character, okay? Alright, going to the academy, and get my second talisman, which is the Graven School Talisman, to boost the potency of Tibia summons. I was thinking on going for Renala later on, since she has a solid magic negations, but there are some stuffs I need to get in this location, so I have to beat the Red Wolf at the very least. I really hate a fast-moving creature in this game, and Red Wolf is one of them. Let's just say the fight wasn't going so well because not only my skill issue when dodging most of his attacks, but also the Tibia summons wasn't fast enough to land some damage. Took me a couple hours and a lot of curse words until finally saw a small window to cast the spell. I was lucky enough to duck the double swings from him, and apparently I can still land some damage on his tail. When he jumps with the sword, I have to roll exactly in front of his face and cast the spell right away. Could be lucky, but I did successfully dodge his incoming attacks a few times. With that thing out of my way, I can proceed and acquire Radagon's icon to boost my casting speed. This little crap is kinda bulky, but it will give you the Twin Sage Crown to boost a little bit of intelligence. And the last one is... yeah, screw that page. Azure Glintstone Staff. That'll boost casting speed even more in exchange of more FP consumptions. Virtual Dexterity is definitely my priority right now. I would say I prefer adding more casting speed compared to damage because it's a bigger risk than having low damage. So here I am on the way to fight Loretta. But why did I need to fight her again? Oh, it's for Ranni's quest and the Stargazer Heirloom. I forgot. I keep forgetting things, man, what the hell? Anyway, Loretta is not that challenging since she's mostly quite open about her openings. The damage from Tibia summons is surprisingly a lot, but it has to land all the 3 attacks to be significant. Now that she is done, we can talk to Ranni and start her quest. I bought an armor from the 2 old crones in Roundtable Hold because I'm about to fight Radahn. This is one of my favorite armor, by the way, in terms of design. Lunar Princess Radahn. I honestly want to avoid him in this run because I thought this will not be possible at all. But then, I did a few damage on him, and from that point, I know it's possible. On early fight, I can safely cast Tibia summons when he does the multiple ground slams and ended up with a sword sweep. It's very safe for me as long as I didn't get too close to him, but when he starts using gravity magic, the window will be much tighter than before. While I can avoid most of his attacks, but there are certain moves that are quite difficult to dodge. The first one is the gravity pull. It has massive range, and I think the only way to dodge it is by getting off Tauren, or maybe use a traditional roll. But I can anticipate it by waiting for his next action right after he did a move. The second one is the gravity balls. I mean, I just have to ride Tauren and move to the side, but sometimes he caught me off guard with it. The fight was a bit hard at the beginning, but after a few practices, I managed to match my timing with his attacks. Especially on his second phase, because right after I cast a spell, I have to roll forward to dodge the gravity wave. I might be a bit greedy at the end of the fight, but luckily I beat him. With the Meteor Strikes Limgrave, I got back to Ranni and made my way to Divine Tower to get the Stargazer Heirloom. It boosts intelligence by 5 points. Yeah, definitely need that. Oh, and also my audio is back. I'm so happy. Jumping to my arch nemesis, Draconic Tree Sentinel. You know, I could have used the hit and run method and it will definitely work like a charm, but instead I want to see if I can beat the guy legitimately. Casting the spell 3 times when he is unaware definitely took a quarter of his health, but from here on out, there is only one opening to cast. When he does this jump attack, I need to roll forward and move to the his left side while maintaining the range before casting Tibia summons. The reason for that is because he's still able to land a powerful attack with his shield. but his range is very limited, so I have to take advantage of that. He did the jumping attack quite often in this run, so I didn't take too much time to beat him. Well, not really actually. I did a few times, but honestly this run is much more easier for early to mid game than I expected. Second phase doesn't change anything. Maybe I have a small window when he casts the AoE lightning attack, but I was too cautious and it's not worth the try when you already found a good chance to attack him. We're inside Lindell now, but we're not deep enough into the city. So I jumped down below the capital city where all the government conspiracies reside and faced Mohg at the end of the sewer. Not gonna lie, I didn't expect the fight to be very hard. I died multiple times because I have to find the suitable openings for Tibia summons. I did found a few, but they are not 100% safe. Also, the damage I dealt to Mohg was a bit underwhelming, and therefore I need more cerulean flasks. The battle took at least a few hours until I decided to give up for now and went for other bosses. I still have to go back though because I need to go to Deep Root Depths at the end of the day. Another option is to beat the Twin Gargoyle, which absolutely a big no for me. So yeah, I decided to fight Godfrey for now. I expect Godfrey would be much easier compared to Mohg, but oh boy, look how wrong I was. Godfrey is hella tough. You know, I never have any problem on fighting the golden version, but using Tibia summons, it feels kinda unfair in my opinion. The damage was pretty decent, so I don't have to worry about it, but I still need to land a solid hit multiple times. Once I cast a spell, Godfrey will charge towards me, making me miss my attacks 90% of the time, so it's impossible to attack him when he's casually walking. Tibia summons has a good bit of range, but it's not that far. I was thinking on taking advantage of range and distance to somehow land a solid hit. The best moment for now is when he throws his eggs mid-air, but he rarely does that move, so it won't work. After multiple deaths and losing my sanity, I found out that there is a small chance for me to attack in one of his moves. When he slams his eggs to my direction and drags it to land a second attack, that's my chance to cast Tibia summons. But I have to do it with perfect timing or else his second attack will hit me. The key is to get close to him and move slightly to the left when he starts dragging his eggs. It's very risky, but it's the best opportunity I had at the moment. Godfrey is known with that move, so he's gonna use that move very often, and with that I beat Godfrey. This is the longest fight I had so far, but wait until you see the other boss fights. Now Morgoth, on the other hand, is the opposite of Godfrey, not as difficult as I thought. I think I would say he has more openings than Morgoth. Some of Morgoth's moves are long-winded attacks, and those moves can be easily dodged by running away from them. He jumps a lot, and that move is one of the big openings for me. Always land counter attacks, but I have to keep this in mind that skeletons from Tibia summons still have slow attack speed even after being summoned. It's better for me to summon them when Morgoth's still in his recovery state, or he will 100% dodge them. First phase wasn't a problem at all, entering his second phase and things are still the same. I was expecting him to jump right after he threw the spear, but it's very unlikely to happen in second phase. Also, the regular opening where he does the blood flame and the blood thrust, apparently I couldn't cast a spell on those openings. His recovery time is faster than my casting speed, so it's very dangerous. I mean, sometimes I could still hit him on those openings, but still, very risky. I think the biggest opening in his second phase is the spinning hammer one. There are a lot of time to make distance and cast Tibia summons afterwards. Only need a few tries until I finally killed Morgoth. After leveling up for a bit, I went back to the underground for mini Mohg. Well, I don't really feel any difference actually. The damage is very noticeable and I also keep dying every 10 minutes. But I think I've improved a lot. So because the damage from Tibia summons is kinda insignificant, I transferred most of my flash to Cerulean and face him again. There are a couple small windows that allows me to cast Tibia summons, but at the beginning of the fight, I kinda feel greedy and randomly cast the spell without any repercussions. Luckily, all of them successfully hit Mohg. One safe opening that is quite noticeable here is when he does this heavy slam with his spear, but in order to cast the spell safely, I have to be on certain range. It is recommended to be on the tip of his spear after rolling away. If got too close, he will do the follow-up attack that will hit me right away. Second opening is the Blood Rain. I think it's very obvious, but I have to be on his back to avoid the Blood Rain. The other alternative is to stay a bit far, but usually he switches move to the Blood Splash. The Blood Rain still have a chance to happen, but the further the distance between me and Mohg, the less it's gonna happen. Sometimes I can attack him when he used this exploding flame, but I have to be a bit far to avoid his follow-up attack. The fight took me 20 minutes and I failed multiple times, but I finally did it this time. You know, I don't like fighting Mohg in general, but I have to do the mini one this time so I can get the Prince of Death staff. So after killing mini Mohg, doing the parkour, and finally reached the Deep Root Depths. Prince of Death. It has passive skill in boosting death sorceries. Okay, so I don't know what I heard was true, but if you dual wield staffs, the staff on your left hand can transfer its passive skill to the right staff. In this case, I can keep fast casting speed with Azur's staff and also got boosted by Prince of Death on my left. Please let me know in the comments if I do this right, but from now on, this is my weapon setup. I continue my journey and got 2 smithing stone bell bearings so I can upgrade my other staffs, because apparently Prince of Death requires regular smithing stones. I also got 2 finger heirloom to boost my faith by 5 points. On my way to Fire Giant and I actually feel nervous as hell. But you know what guys, I probably worried too much. I thought the damage was like Mohg back then, but apparently Tibia summons did a quite significant damage, I would say. It's not that crazy, but this might work at least for the first phase. But of course, it's not gonna be first try. It's never easy for my case because I suck. Alright, let's break it down. First of all, the entire fight didn't take too long compared to Mohg and Godfrey. First phase is not that hard. A lot of opportunity to cast a spell. One thing that I have to pay more attention, because Tibia summons is slow and Fire Giant tend to move his feet quite often, it's best to take advantage of his slow recovery time. One of his moves, Burn of Flame, is the best chance for me to cast a spell, but I have to cast it before he starts burning the floor, because it could be a little difficult to move around afterwards. But it's a guaranteed hit, so better maximize that opportunity. The others like Ground Storm or Jump Smash, also a good chance to attack him. Okay, moving to the second phase, and now things become more complicated. As you guys know, Fire Giant's weakness are his hands and his giant eye in the middle, but if you want to deal more damage, I suggest to hit his eye, but it can be a little hard to do that. Luckily, Tibia summons over here can attack any direction as long as it's not too far. With that, I'm gonna try to attack his eye if I get a chance. This strategy requires me to stay in front of him most of the time, and it can be very dangerous since his ground slams has crazy range of attack. When things get risky, I'll be hiding under his crotch and attack his leg, as usual. The longer this fight going on, the more difficult for me to reach his eye. But it didn't take too long to finally beat him. Might be a bit daring at the end of the fight, but there you go. So we burned the Erdtree and went straight to Missoula. So, will you believe me if I say this is the easiest Godskin Duo fight? Of course not, because it's not. I mean, it's much easier compared to previous fight, but I wouldn't say it's easy in general. This fight pushed me to use the pillars more effectively, and I thought it would be much easier to attack Godskin Noble and leave the Apostle untouched. The biggest opening for me is when they throw the Black Flame. But in order to do this correctly, I have to take cover behind the pillars so they will protect me from the Black Flame, while Tibia summons can bypass them. For Godskin Noble, he has more than one opening, but I have to get closer in order to cast a spell. Can be dangerous at certain moment, but I'll try to keep my distance as far as I can. As soon as he starts his second phase, jump on the top of the broken pillar and spam the Tibia summons. You can cast up to 3 times before the donut roll ends, and yeah, I just have to keep doing those things over and over again. There will be 3 Godskin Nobles and the strats won't change at all. I just have to keep my eyes on the skinny one because sometimes he can attack me from nowhere. There was a moment where the Noble and Apostle beside each other, and Tibia summons accidentally attack both of them at the same time. That's a lot of damage, but the Apostle become more aggressive from that point, so I have to keep my guard up. I'm just glad the Apostle didn't reach the second phase, or things will be much harder. Got both Ancient Dragon Somber Stones, and now both of my staffs are on max level. Without wasting any time, I went straight to Maliketh. Well, that's the thing I would say if I didn't get killed multiple times by these irrelevant creatures. Anyway, Maliketh. It's not really a crazy hard fight or anything, but his first phase was a bit problematic for me. Maliketh is fast and aggressive, so I couldn't find an opening for the first couple fights. But after a while, I noticed there is one opening when he's using the Beast Claw, and it's the safe one as well if I did it with the right timing. That also works with the side sweep, which much safer, but he didn't do it too often. Also, unlike Godskin Duo, these pillars are useless and Tibia summons couldn't bypass them for some reason. Instead of rolling, I have to utilize jumping more often. Also, there are a few moments that I'm able to cast when he's using Bestial Sling, but most of the time, I got hit, so it's not worth the risk. Second phase, as usual, I can attack him when he's using Destined Death, but surprisingly, there are more openings that are quite convenient for me as long as he's chilling around after using a move. If he initiates a move right away, my Tibia summons will 100% miss. I think I got hit a few times, but I was lucky enough to avoid most of his fatal blow. And I just have to keep this going long enough to finally beat him. Alright, we almost beat the game. I honestly couldn't believe to progress this far in the game. I might be able to beat the game with Tibia summons after all. So Gideon is next, and this is where the real challenge begins. As you already know, Gideon Ofnir is the most difficult boss in the game. Like, I'm that serious, man. This guy has no opening at all. His recovery time is super fast. Casting speed is as fast as a premature ejaculation, so there is no room for me to use Tibia summons at all. So after all of the things I've been through, this is the end of the road. Seems like beating him is impossible. Unless I don't need openings to attack him. Remember when I said Tibia summons has limited range? It's actually a benefit for circumstances like this. So what I need to do is stay as far as I can until Tibia summon could no longer reach Gideon. And from this point, I have to rely on RNG, so maybe, just maybe, he will roll forward and get hit by the skeletons in front of him. I definitely gonna miss 80% of my attacks, because I have to bait him once before hitting him with the spell, which makes me completely drain my flask. On the good side, Tibia summons actually deal some good damage on Gideon, so I'm quite optimistic to beat him. Once he got too close to me, I have to run away to the other side and keep baiting him to do the front roll. Sometimes he rolls to the side, which is very annoying, and the other times he's just running towards me. I need him to casually walking, not running. Also, Tibia summon's aim is blocked by the wall. It's the same case with those pillars in Maliketh's arena, so there is no way to cast through the wall. He's gonna heal once, but that's okay. This method will work as long as I have enough flash to do it. I got lucky a couple times, but that's exactly what I need in this kind of situation. We're definitely getting there. Only a few bosses left, and the next one is Godfrey. Unfortunately, I was unable to emulate the same method as the golden version before. It feels a bit weird that I keep dying for no reason. Maybe I was being greedy, but yeah, this fight took me quite long to finally able to attack him again with the same method. I thought the ground rupture would become another opening for me to cast, but apparently his recovery time was faster than my casting speed, so that wouldn't be possible. The damage was unexpectedly low, but it's still better than the last time I fought Mini Mohg. First phase definitely took me a while, but because I already got used to the timing, I was able to proceed to his second phase. Okay, Tibia summons actually deal a lot of damage on his second phase. Well, I mean, not that crazy much, but it's far better than the first phase. The problem now is the opening. I couldn't see any openings at first, but then he showed me the ground rupture. All of his other moves like grab attacks gave me not enough time to cast, so I think the only safe opening is the ground rupture. I actually hit him when he did nothing, but that was surely just luck. Looking back at the fight, there are a lot of running and not enough fight, but it is what it is. I can only do one thing, and that one thing can only be done in one situation, so I have to be patient. I tried to cast when he does the ground slam, but it didn't work, so yeah, let's just skip with one opening. I was a bit crazy here, but it was very lucky. Okay, maybe I become a bit greedy at the end. So far, my greediness hasn't been punished yet. Yeah, as usual, before going for Radagon, let's beat Malenia so I can reenact my muscle memory. But yeah, we're in Castle Sol right now, and I think all the fight after Maliketh are becoming harder and harder. That includes this mindless veteran. His banished knights are aggressive as hell, and I died right away since I didn't have a chance to cast Tibia summons. But the thing about it, I can beat Godskin Duo with Tibia summons, There is no way I'm losing against a spectral banished knights, right? Yes, they do have visible openings. I just have to time them carefully or one of them will catch me off guard. The shield one is more difficult than the other one because I couldn't find the right timing to cast. Most of the time, I have to sacrifice a bit of my HP to actually hit him, but as soon as they died, Niall was a piece of cake. Basically every major moves he did is a huge opening for me. And Niall is pretty slow as well, making Tibia summons less annoying. I made my way to get both medallions and reach Consecrated Snowfield. I might as well get the Graven Mass Talisman, but I decided not to because I don't really need it. I think my build is pretty solid right now, and the only thing I need is more FP. Even that is not really necessary. This journey to Haligtree honestly took most of my sanity. Not because of any bosses, but because of those albinoric women. There is no way for me to use Tibia summons, so I spammed the Horny Bong until she fell down and moaned. Entering the Haligtree and facing Loretta for the second time. Not much of a difference, it's pretty easy. Actually, not that easy. I still waste like an hour, but I beat her at the end. Yosh, this is it, boys and girls. I will not say her full name, ain't gonna give her the satisfaction. Even at the beginning of the fight, I already saw her opening, but the problem is, she's not using that move that often. Sometimes, she can do that multiple times in a short period of time, but I also died a lot, so the fight was a bit frustrating. I need to change my armor because I really need light roll in this fight. Her attacks are powerful and most likely to kill me in 1 or 2 hits. I have to keep my distance a bit close to her, because when she is using her regular slash attacks, it has a follow-up move that requires her to slam the ground with a slow recovery time. But that move doesn't come out often. I also need to be careful even on her openings. I could still get hit if I didn't maintain my range. Malenia has the longest fight out of this entirety of this run. Dodging her attacks are quite easy for me since I've been practicing for a few hours already. Oh, and we were talking about her first phase by the way. But yeah, only 2 openings on her first phase and surprisingly, Tibia summons still give her decent damage. There are some times that took me 5 minutes to land a single hit just because she didn't use any of those openings, and instead, she kept using the Rapid Slice and Waterfowl Dance. I mastered her Waterfowl Dance, so I can dodge them perfectly with mouse and keyboards now. That is quite an improvement, I would say. First phase really took me a good amount of time, but second phase, her openings become more feasible with other moves. So yeah, as you can see, Scarlet Aeonia definitely a huge opening for me. Cast Tibia summons 3 times, massive damage, and also the Scarlet Rod explosion that she does almost on every moves. There is a small chance that she is gonna use Rapid Slice instead of Scarlet Rod explosion after the jump. That usually happened if I was too close to her. I learned from my mistakes. Malenia took me a while, but the fight was quite fun if I'm being honest. And after more than 20 minutes, I finally beat her. Oh, by the way, that 20 minutes, it's actually for a single fight, and I cannot remember like how many fights I had. Final boss Radagon. I had a bunch of difficult fights in this run, and Radagon was no different. His openings might be the same as usual, but for some reason, I always got hit. And because that always happened, Elden Beast fight was impossible. So I decided to step back for a bit and acquire more golden seed because I need at least 11 flasks in total. Got the Crimson Hole tier just in case Elden stars become annoying. And also level up a bit more because I think 20 vigor was a bit low in this kind of challenge run, so I increased it to 30. At the beginning of the fight, cast the spell right away once. After that, Radagon will deflect the spell, so I have to do it fast enough. The rest of the fight, I can just cast Tibia summons on the same openings as regular weapons. Well, at least some of them. Bear in mind that all of his openings are not 100% guaranteed hit. To make Tibia summons hit him, usually I try to stay close in front of him, and he will use physical attacks to me. But it will not stop him to teleport as well. I really hate when he does that. I brought 4 Crimson Flasks and 7 Cerulean Flasks. To beat Radagon, I thought 2 flasks would be enough, but at the end of the fight, I keep missing my attacks since he teleports a lot, and it made me use 3 flasks instead. But that's okay though. It might still be enough to beat Elden Beast. Elden Beast is huge, and somehow it can dodge my attacks quite often, but not this time. I will make sure every hit counts. It would be great to take advantage of Tibia summons long range, but for Elden Beast, it's better to stay close to it. I got hit by the golden wave because I still couldn't find a way to dodge it in medium to long range. Usually I just have to dodge forward, but it's not possible in medium range. I can avoid Elden Stars with Crimson Hole, but only once. And he might use Elden Stars again later in this fight. As you can see, Elden Beast has some moves that has slow recovery time, and I'm definitely able to attack it at those certain moments. I was being greedy at the last 3/4 of its HP, but I was also very lucky to survive and beat him with the very little HP I have left. It's either me or him, and it's definitely not me. There we go, I beat Elden Ring with Tibia summons. I honestly think this run was not possible at all. I watched Professional Bike Crasher and Soldier of Godric. They did the Tibia summons run before me, you should check them out. There are a lot of technical issues in this run, I don't know why, and I apologize for that. But at the very least, I hope this video is entertaining enough for you guys to watch, and if you think it is, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, special thanks to channel members, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.